All right, hey everyone, we're starting with lesson 3.1, the first lesson in unit 3. So we're talking about the coordinate plane, or the coordinate system, right? If you hear the word coordinate system or coordinate plane, they both mean the same thing, okay? So what is the coordinate system? Well, it's formed by the intersection of a horizontal number line and a vertical number line. So it's formed by the intersection of a vertical number line and a horizontal number line. And well, what is it used for? It's used to graph, right? Used to graph equations. Equations that have two variables. Okay, so what do I mean by this intersection of number lines? Well, let's just have a quick look over here. So we can see we have this vertical number line and we have a horizontal number line. And what happens is when we put these two together, right? So we take the vertical number line and we take the horizontal number line and we simply let them intersect, right? So that, right, what we've just drawn is our coordinate system. All right, let's go back to the notes. Okay, so we have two new words. We have the x-axis and the y-axis. So the x-axis, this is the horizontal number line, the horizontal number line. And our y-axis, well, it's the vertical number line. Okay. Origin is the point at which the x-axis and the y-axis meet. Okay. So the point, the point at which the x-axis and y-axis intersect. Intersect or meet. Okay. And quadrants, well, you can see when we create this number line, we actually divide our grid into 4 different regions. So quadrants are the regions created by the intersection of the x and y axis. Okay, so let's kind of look at our general grid here and identify all of these new vocabulary terms and where they are. Okay, so let's start by identifying our x and y axis. Well, our x-axis is the horizontal number line, right? So that means it's this guy. This is our x-axis. All right. And our y-axis, well, that's going to be our vertical number line, right? So this is our y-axis. All right. We also learned about the origin. So this is the point where the x and y axis intersect. Intersects means where do they cross? So right here. So that point right there is called the origin. Okay. And then quadrants. right? So what are quadrants? Well, the intersection of our two number lines can create these 4 distinct areas. And I'm just going to introduce you to their names, okay? So this quadrant here, right, is called quadrant 1. And instead of writing the number 1, we use Roman numerals to denote quadrants. So I'm going to use capital I, which means Roman numeral 1. So this is quadrant 1, okay? Over here we have quadrant 2. So again, Roman numeral for 2 is 2 capital I's, okay? And then we have quadrant 3 over here. And instead of 3, we write capital I, quadrant 3. And then finally, quadrant 4. And Roman numeral for 4 is I, capital I, V. That's 4. All right, so those are kind of the key features of our coordinate system. Okay, well, we all know that this coordinate system is used for plotting points. Okay, so this brings us to our next term, which is called an ordered pair. Okay, so an ordered pair is a pair of numbers, obviously. So a pair of numbers written in the form x comma y. Written in the form bracket x comma y close bracket. Okay, the brackets, the comma, they're all needed, okay? If you forget the brackets, if you don't include a comma, then you're not writing an ordered pair properly, okay? So it's in the form x comma y, and it's used to locate a point on the coordinate plane. Used to locate a point on the coordinate plane or coordinate system. Okay, so as we said, it's in the form x comma y. So the value of x is called the x coordinate. So if I say x coordinate, you're going to know what that means. X coordinate. Okay, and it corresponds to the location on, you guessed it, the x-axis. Okay, the value of y is called the y coordinate. And corresponds to the location on the y-axis. Okay, and again, the order is important, okay? It has to be, that's why it's called an ordered pair, right? Ordered pair. X has to be the first number, y has to be the second number. Okay, so let's try a couple examples. All right, so let's try graphing some points. So we're going to move on to the next page. And we have an example where we're going to plot 2 points. We're going to plot A and we're going to plot point B on the coordinate plane below. Okay, so to plot point A, which is 5, -3, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the origin, right? So you put your, you can put your little pen over the origin, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to move 5 units to the right, okay, and 3 units down, okay, right? Because 5 is positive. If we go back to our quadrant, right, you can see that over here we have our positive values of x, and here we have our negative values of x. Similarly, we have positive values of y, negative values of y, okay? So if we have a positive value of x, that means our x value is going to be 5 units to the right. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this is 5 right here. And I'm going to move 3 units down. So 1, 2, 3 right here. And that's going to bring me to my point A. And that point has the ordered pair 5, negative 3. Okay? So similarly, let's do point B. Okay? So point B, again, we start at the origin, right? We put our pen down at the origin to start. And we're going to move, this time we're going to move 0 units right or left, right? We're not moving at all because our x-coordinate is 0. And we're going to move 4 units up, okay? Because our y-coordinate is positive 4. So, okay, I put my pencil on the origin. I don't move. I move 0 units left or right. So I just stay the same. And then I move 4 units up. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That brings me to this point right here. And now I can label that point B. And it's 0, 4. All right. So describe the location of each point above. Okay, so here we're talking about what quadrants are we in, or are we on an axis, or are we in a quadrant? So the location of point A, right? Do you remember what this quadrant is called? Well, A is in quadrant 4, okay? Quadrant 4, that's this one, okay? B is not in one of the quadrants, right? It's right between two. So instead of saying B is in a quadrant, we say B is on the y-axis, right? Because it is. It's located on the y-axis. Good. All right. So let's try a few more. And in fact, I'm going to get you guys to pause the video here, right? Go ahead and pause it and try to graph these 10 points on your own, okay? And then come back to the video and you can double check that you've done it correctly. Okay, so go ahead, pause the video now. Okay, I'm going to go through these questions. So graph each point on the coordinate plane below and describe its location. So again, when it says describe its location, which quadrant is it in, or is it on one of the axes? Okay, so let's plot point A. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, I put my pen down on the origin to start. Excuse me. And my x-coordinate is -6. So I'm going to move 6 to the left. So 1, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to move up 2. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then up 2, 1, 2. And that's going to bring me right here. And I'm going to call that point A. Okay? Now, what's the location of point A? If you remember the quadrants, right, that is quadrant number 2. Remember Roman numerals. Okay. All right, let's graph B. So again, I'm going to put my pen on the origin to start, and I look at my x-coordinate. My x-coordinate is -3, so I'm going to move backwards 3. Left 3. 1, 2, 3. I end up here. And I'm going to move 0 up or down. So that means that I'm just staying right here. And I can label that point B. Okay. Now, what's the location of point B? Well, we remember which axis is which, right? Point B is on our horizontal axis, and remember that's our x-axis. Okay. All right, let's try point C now. So again, I start at the origin, okay, and I see my x-coordinate is 4, so I'm going to move 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to move 1 down. So I'm going to put my point right here, and I can call that C. Okay. Now, which quadrant is that one in? That is quadrant 4. Quadrant 4. All right, let's plot point D. Okay. So D, again, we always start at the origin. Okay. The x-coordinate is 1, so I move over to the right 1. My y-coordinate is 7, so I'm going to go 7 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So right there is where I put my point. I can label that D. Okay, and D, well, that's quadrant 1. All right, moving on to point E. So we're going to start at the origin. We're going to move left 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to move down 2. 1, 2, and we end up right here. So we call that point E. And that is quadrant 3. Okay. All right, let's try point F. So, again, put your pencil at the origin. Move left 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And move up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that brings us right here in point F. Okay. And where is that located? That is quadrant 2. Quadrant 2. Okay, G. So point G, start at the origin. Our x-coordinate is 0, so we're not moving left or right. Our y-coordinate is -6, so we're going down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right here. So that is point G. Okay, and where is that located? Well, it's on an axis, right? This time it's on the y-axis, our vertical axis. So our y-axis. Okay. Point H, let's find that. So our x-coordinate is 2, so we move to the right 2, 1, 2. And then we move down 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right here. H. Okay, and where's that located? That is quadrant 4. Quadrant 4. Okay. What else do we have? We have to do I. So I is at 7, 3. So start at the origin. Count 7 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Count 3 up. 1, 2, 3. And that's where I'm going to put my point right there. That's I. All right. Last one. Oh, sorry. And that is located quadrant 1. Quadrant 1. And finally, we have our last point, point J, which is at 5, 0. So our x-coordinate is 5, so we move to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our y-coordinate is 0, so we do not move up or down. That means we can just put our point right there, and that's point J. Okay, and that one, similar to point B, is located on our x-axis. Good. So hopefully you were able to try those on your own and then check my solutions. If not, that's okay. Maybe this is your first time learning how to plot points. Okay, that's why we're taking it slow, okay? All right, so now let's try doing the opposite. So now we're going to take points and we're going to specify the ordered pair that corresponds to that point. Okay? So even though our scale is not numbered, right, we remember that each line represents one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to do that -1, -2, -3, -4, 5, -6, -7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, right? So I've done that simply because I know that's going to make my life easier when I'm trying to find the ordered pair, okay? So you are welcome to add those numbers yourself. So let's start with point A, okay? Now remember, an ordered pair always has to be x comma y. So we start by finding the location on the x-axis. So I look at point A. Now what x value does that correspond to? Well, let's check. Dot, 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 dot. Ah, it corresponds to, well, what is that? A -4, right? Okay. And what y value does it correspond to? Well, let's see. Dot, 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 dot. It corresponds to a y value of 7. So our coordinate becomes -4, comma, 7. In the location of that point, well, that's quadrant 2. So we can go ahead and write that. I'm just going to write quad for short, quadrant 2. Okay, good. So let's try another point. Sorry, I'm going to erase this. Oops, that little green stuff. That's fine. Okay, this was 6, 7, 8, -3, -4, -5. Okay, so let's move on to, well, where's B? Okay, so B is right here. So again, what value on the x-axis does that correspond to? Well, hopefully you can notice that that corresponds to an x value of -3, right? Because if we drew a vertical line up, it would touch the axis at x equals -3. The y value, right, corresponds to -1, -1. Okay, and that is quadrant 3. Okay, point C. Where's point C? Here we go. Okay, again, we always start with the x-coordinate. So where does this line up with our x-axis? Lines up at 6. Okay, 6. And then where does it line up on our y-axis? So, right, we look over and it lines up with 1, +1. And that's quadrant 1. All right, point D. Point D is located down here. Oh, and that's on the y-axis, right? So I'm going to put that. It's located on the y-axis. Okay. So because it's located on the y-axis, that means I haven't moved left or right from the origin, right? So my x-coordinate is 0. My y-coordinate is -5. Okay. Let's try the next one. Let's go with point E. So E we have over here. So again, we start with the x coordinate. Well, it lines up with our x-axis at -8. Okay, and our y-axis +3, and that is quadrant 2. Okay, F. So again, starting with the x-axis, it lines up with 2. Okay, so 2, comma, and our y-axis we have -2, and that is quadrant 4. Okay, point G over here. So again, x first. So we figure out what does it correspond to on the x-axis. Well, we have -5. And where does it correspond to on our y-axis? Well, we have -6. And that is quadrant 3. Okay, point H over here. Again, we start with our x. So it corresponds to an x value of +5. Nope. Way to go. Okay, does not. See, see how easy it is to make a mistake? Okay, so the x value of h is 1, and the y value of h is 5. Okay, I almost got that mixed up. And that is quadrant 1. Okay, I. So our x value is going to be 4, and our y value is going to be -3. And that is quadrant 4. Quadrant 4. And then finally J. So J is right here. Okay, so on the x-axis, it corresponds to -1. On the y-axis, well, it hasn't moved up or down, right? So the y-coordinate is 0. And that is located, which axis is that? That is our x-axis. Okay, so that is the lesson. And what I have for you guys is I have 1 page of practice problems, and I'll get you guys to try these on your own, and I will post the solutions to Google Classroom. I have also posted a couple of links to online practice where you don't need to print anything and you'll get instant feedback on whether you're correct or not. Those links are through Khan Academy. So earlier this week, I sent everybody an email inviting them to join my Khan Academy class. So if you can, I'd like you to go into your email and accept that invitation so that I can see how your practicing is coming along. Okay? And there is also an assignment for this class. So look to Google Classroom to see the details on that and when the due date is. Okay? Great. Take care, guys.